Now we're sort of more insular. We're all in our own little houses or abodes, and we're probably less likely or a bit reluctant to ask for help. It's a bit of a sad way because, with the digital age, it's like we're more connected than ever, but we're more disconnected. So, so I think just recognising the benefits that can flow from, and it's not selfish to do it. It's really, you're the best version of yourself when you're operating it, your tank is full, your heart's full. That's exactly what we're about at Mums Who Wine.
Hello everyone, welcome to the podcast. This is Humans with Luke McCredden. I'm Luke McCredden, and that voice off the top is the beautiful Jacqui White. Jacqui came in for a chat and we chatted about her involvements in a couple of unbelievably fantastic organisations at the moment. One of those is Mums Who Wine, a fantastic setup, fantastic event organisation, allowing mums to come, join the party, let their hair down, relax, socialise, get together and just take the weight of the world off their shoulders for a night or a couple of days or whatever the event may be. It's a really, really good organisation. Another one we spoke about is Thank a Farmer. Thank a Farmer events are bringing basically farmers from around the state and giving them a day or a night or a couple of days that they too can just relax and let their hair down and not worry about the farm just for a minute, just to say thank you for the amazing work that they do. Jacqui is an awesome person, a really, really great person to talk to, a fantastic friend, and I had a lot of fun chatting with her about Mums Who Wine, Thank a Farmer event, and all the good stuff that she's doing. So sit back and relax. This is episode 11 with Jacqui White. Jacqui, thank you.
Hi, Luke.
Thanks for coming.
Hi.
This is awesome. Excuse my, what I'm calling post-cold sounding voice.
Yes, I feel like I've got a bit of huskiness too. The old bronchitis got me a couple of weeks
really?
ago.
Oh,
yes,
that's not good.
I was laid up in bed for about a week.
Yeah, it
so
sucks.
Not great. But anyway, we're here now.
I just can't shake that last little bit. Like I'm fine, but it's just all my head.
Yes.
But anyway, whatever.
No.
Suck it up. I'll be fine. So good to see you. I haven't seen you for a while. I was actually thinking on the way here, I probably haven't caught up with you properly in person for maybe a couple of years, really.
I think so. I mean, usually when there's any catch up between us, it's with Cam, or that I hear about your comings and goings about through your fishing trips. And
I'll stick my head in the door, go, hey Jack, we're going again.
Exactly. Or, I think it's Cam trying to convince me to go camping with little ones. He's like, see, look, Luke's taking the young, they're having a great time.
No, but we should say too, Cam, I can't remember what episode number it was, but Cameron White came on Humans podcast, and now we've got the much better half of that family. How is the family? You guys are rocking a full house now, and we're talking off air about it's fun and challenging.
Yes, the challenges of, children toddlers and young children. But no, we're wonderful. We've actually got Dad around, i.e. Cam, a little bit more now that he's not playing for Victoria at the minute.
Yep.
So sort of don't know what to do with him now. We're sort of like, okay, where are you off to? When are you off next?
Yeah.
But although having said that, I had promised that I'd bring in a bottle of wine for us to share or have a glass each while we were doing this, and I had to, the wine stocks were all raided because he had been away for 2 weeks. Well, he had been away for 2 weeks. So, but then now he's been home. So it's been really lovely having him about.
Yeah. Different for you though.
Very different.
Because your whole life together, he would have been off all over the place.
Yeah, and you do get used to that kind of, you adjust to that independence and you form your own routine and you get into a bit of a rhythm. And sometimes when he would come home, he's sort of like, okay, well, you're messing with my rhythm of how I'm doing things. But no, it's been really lovely having him about a bit more. Yeah. Yes.
But you, going back to, I suppose, the last time I spoke to you would have been before you became crazy busy in a couple of your projects you're doing.
Yeah, so obviously my background, I'm a lawyer, so I'm still on maternity leave from doing that. While being on mat leave, I caught up with a girlfriend of mine who is also a lawyer, Lauren Oliver, who created a fabulous movement called Mums Who Wine. That's Wine, no H in there, as some people often just want to check.
I wouldn't dare say otherwise.
No. So essentially, Lauren was a lawyer at the firm I worked at, which is a top-tier law firm in the city, and decided to leave the corporate world and start up Mums Who Wine. So huge, bold move. She was the breadwinner in her family, but essentially what led to that was they were living in Langwarrin, so on the Mornington Peninsula, and she moved to Newport to be closer to work because she was doing the crazy commute into the city every day. And with moving to a new suburb in West Melbourne, didn't know anybody, working full-time as a lawyer, didn't have any friends really in the area, and found herself sort of at risk of isolation, which I think a lot of mums and dads even find themselves in. So she put out a bit of a post on one of the social media, Inner West Mums and Bubs, and lo and behold, 8 people showed up at the first, do you want to grab a wine? And Mums Who Wine was born. It was really born just as an opportunity for her to make a friend. And essentially almost very quickly there were events happening all the time in Inner West Melbourne, and lots of mums needing connection and finding their community. So,
awesome.
That was how Mums Who Wine was born. And, a couple of years later, she decided to make it into a business. And then fast forward another couple of years, I caught up with her and, we were just chatting about life and what mat leave is like. And I actually went away on a retreat. So Mums Who Wine, they run events around Australia.
Yep.
And also I went international retreats, which I went to Bali for 5 nights, or 5 days, I should say, which was incredible. And just gave a really good opportunity to connect with some other amazing mums and take time out, which is what Mums Who Wine's all about. So taking time out to invest in your self-care. So you'll see I'm wearing a self-care saves top. So that's what our sort of motto is. So
well, it's such a good message, isn't it? And it's such an important one. I probably didn't, and just speaking personally too, I suppose, so anyone out there, but I probably didn't understand how important it was to look after yourself even up until probably recently. You burn out pretty quick.
You do. I think especially being a parent, like you say off air, we were talking about some of the challenges that come with that. And I think being a parent, you invest so much in your children. They're your number one priority. You're racing around to activities and birthday parties and all of the things. And I think sometimes we say you're trying to pour from an empty cup, which we just know it. You're sort of a shell of a person when you try and do that. So at Mums Who Wine, we're really all about taking that time to refill your cup, refill your tank, whatever that might be, going fishing or, catching up with some friends, going to a day spa and just you're spending some time for yourself. So, I think that that's what we're really trying to encourage women to do. We with Mums Who Wine, we also donate part of the proceeds from our events and our memberships to PANDA, Perinatal Anxiety and Depression Australia. So just supporting new mums and expecting mums and dads in that journey, because mental health is it's crucial to keep on top of and just checking on yourself and your friends. So
it's amazing how often that you can spend 25 years seemingly really in control of yourself and your batteries are always charged, but it only take a couple of years really to drain that battery or empty that fuel tank and you need to sit back and go, I need to recharge. And sometimes you can't. Or in my case, I burn out and didn't realise it until it was like I've just burnt out. And then wasn't until, I went and saw a psychologist and they helped me sort of say, you know what? It's about recharging, re-energizing. You need to take that time, whether it be like fishing, like you said, or going away for a week. Sometimes it's 5 minutes, sometimes it's a week-long recharge, but whatever it is, you just have to, and it's so important.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, life, I think now we're so disconnected from each other as well. So, once upon a time we lived in the village where, the whole family would look after each other. So you probably got that downtime just to spend time for yourself a little bit more frequently, you know. Whereas now we're sort of more insular, we're all in our own little houses or abodes, and we're probably less likely or a bit reluctant to ask for help. it's a bit of a sad way because, with the digital age, it's like we're more connected than ever, but we're more disconnected. So, so I think just recognising the benefits that can flow from, and it's not selfish to do it. It's really, you're the best version of yourself when you're operating it, your tank is full, your heart's full. That's exactly what we're about at Mums Who Wine. And it's interesting because, a lot of people, we're predominantly, our presence is predominantly on social media. And a lot of people see the name and, think, oh, fabulous, what a great event, let's get the girls together. And that is what it's about. But once we get there and Lauren or myself or one of our ambassadors shares the Mums Who Wine story and what we're really all about in terms of taking time to invest in your self-care, I think women the mums at our events sit back and say, oh, this is what I'm doing here and it is important.
And do you find that a lot of the people the mums that are attending tend to find themselves chatting and venting to one another and sort of putting themselves out there a little bit to help them sort of recharge as well? I
think they do. And it's not just like a husband bashing session or a kid bashing session, in terms of, venting in that way. But I think it is a safe space. It's a space where you can, life isn't the highlight reel of Instagram. We all see everything that rolls through there and, it is that, oh, why aren't I, why isn't my life great like that? So I think it is a great opportunity to come together and, if you've had a great day, talk about how awesome you've had it, or if it's been a really shit day because, the kids are driving you ratty or, you're frustrated at work or, all of those things. Because it is, I found returning after, so I've got two children, as you know, Luke, a 4-year-old and a 1-year-old. And when I returned from maternity leave in between the girls, I just found it really, really challenging. Being a lawyer, I'm used to, I'm a perfectionist. I want to operate at a certain level, and then all of a sudden you're balancing your priorities, your workload, and feeling like I'm doing both things poorly. So I guess just being able to come to that space and connect with other women who might be in the same situation, and just sharing in a safe space.
What about the uptake? Like obviously on the Mums Who Wine website and social media and stuff, that seem to be lots of people. It's really great to see all these people. One thing I was thinking on the way here actually was, because I think a lot of it for me would be, and I'm guessing a lot of people wouldn't necessarily come forward, put themselves out there and say, I need this for myself. Are people, do you think people are reluctant to do that? Like, do you think there'd be more people that would be connected if they sort of took themselves away from the guilt of feeling like they're doing something for themselves? Yeah,
look, I think that's probably a bit of a mix. I mean, hopefully I like to think that, the journeys that we've shared. So we often post sort of some testimonials from people who've come along to our events, and it's really beautiful that they, it's brave enough often to be sharing so openly about themselves. We've had people who've come along to our events who've really suffered from postnatal depression, been in hospital as a result, and come along and shared with us that this is their first event since coming out of hospital and how important that is. But I think that you've recognised rightly that, people are a little bit, they don't want to share sometimes where it's that when they're struggling. But I think that is changing because I think, social media is a really positive, and this is that we think the positive side of social media, in that it is, with some recent events, obviously Danny Foley's, suffers a battle with his mental health. And, it can be a really positive platform for people to kind of come forward and, do those sorts of things. So, I think that there's definitely a bit of a balance. But I think once, women come along, mums come along to our events, they sort of see, oh, this is a great spot, because it is hard to put yourself out there. And, a lot of people do come along to our events by themselves. They like to, you might move to a new area or for a number of reasons. We've launched in Canberra, which is a huge army region, and obviously with Parliament being there, government, there's lots of transients in that area. So we have lots of people coming along by themselves who just want to meet a new friend. So
that's awesome. So the events in like those sort of towns or anywhere, are they frequent? Is it an ongoing sort of thing that once you sign up, you go to all of the in your area or whatever?
Yeah, so we have launched in 4 states.
Yep.
So we run regular events in the areas that we've launched. So in Brisbane, Canberra, a couple of areas in Victoria, and in the Hunter Valley and Newcastle area. So we run sort of bi-monthly or monthly events depending on the time of year.
Yep.
And so you can attend as a member. Obviously with the membership you get discounts at the events, and there's also an affiliates program. So part of our encouragement to invest in your self-care, we have over 300 businesses nationally who see the heart and mission of what we're trying to achieve and want to treat mums like the VIP they are, and offer them benefits, so discounts or free free coffee with your meal or something like that, just so that you can take that time out for yourself. So those areas that we've launched in, we have those opportunities available.
Great.
Which is wonderful.
It's so good.
Yeah, we've got a couple of huge events coming up actually in Canberra. We've got 100 mums coming together at on the weekend, and then close to 200 mums in Brisbane next weekend. So it's incredible.
Yeah.
It's very loud in the in the rooms when you get 200 women together. I think mums particularly who battle to get a word in sometimes with little ones. It's it'll be wonderful.
And across the board, you find that most mums do embrace it, let their hair down, relax, do what is intended with the whole program? Yeah,
I think, look, there are certainly, there are different people who use it for different reasons. Like there are some people who just love to catch up with their own group of friends, and it's a great event to be able to do that at. There are mums who come along and, wanting to meet a friend, people, and we're very mindful of, making sure there's an avenue to be able to do that. Yeah. So at all of our events, if we know someone, we always check in with people who arrive on their own and connect them in straight away with someone else.
Yeah.
So,
that's great.
But definitely there's, I think after that sort of initial sometimes, I'm not sure, having an opportunity to sort of relax and chat to a few people over some canapes and a glass of wine or an orange juice or whatever you'd like to have.
I know you're involved in helping the whole organisation and the events and so forth, but is it something that you can relate to yourself that it may have actually you've benefited from, or you would if it wasn't, if you weren't necessarily helping the event itself? It'd be something that you'd do? Yeah,
absolutely. I mean, I came on board after the Bali retreat, and it just really, going on that retreat really opened my eyes about how incredible taking that time for myself was. And I obviously now being a part of the events, like every time I leave an event, I really do have a bit of a spring in my step. And I feel like that's how I fill my cup. Luke, I know I'm quite a social person. So, and then other people fill their cup in different ways. They like to spend time alone and so that's why we have the benefits program along with the events, because we recognise that not everyone wants to be in a room of 200 people to be able to invest in their self-care. But it's definitely something that I have found going to the events. I'd probably do that aside from the fact of my involvement. But
what about people like the government? Are they getting behind this? This is something that's so important, I think. Even again, just from what I know of it before talking to you about it, just from social media and the website and stuff, it just sounds like such an amazing idea, and it's obviously going well. The country should be behind these sort of programs, I think.
Yeah, look, we are in Mums Who Wine's infancy, only being the second year in a business which was never intended to be a business. It obviously just grew quite organically through Lauren reaching out for some friends herself. We are exploring options with local government, local councils, state governments for support. But I think it does, it's interesting to try and crack those, because there's so many people, I think, doing different events and things. And, sometimes some organisations see the name and they're like, oh, alcohol, wine. But I think it's just the importance of seeing the heart of what we're doing. And it's actually, it draws women and mums in, the name, I guess, without necessarily, where they might not otherwise, which I think it really pulls people in, and then all of a sudden it forces them to take account of their self-care and take that. So I think there's definitely scope, and we're really interested in any businesses who support what we're doing to partner with us and get behind it, because
they should.
I mean, it just the benefits for the community with and every business, when people's mental health is, you know, it's in a good place.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Even the slogan, you know, like I just keep thinking that's just if the name Mums Who Wine drags people in, the next thing they should read is that slogan because it's such an important one.
Yeah, definitely.
And it's a great one to put out there.
Yeah, well, we actually, with the slogan, we ran a campaign in November last year with for Panda. So the tank that I'm wearing, we were selling T-shirts and tanks and donating 100% of the proceeds to
awesome.
Panda.
Yeah.
So in the 2 years that we've been running as a business, we've raised close to $30,000 for Panda, which is we're really proud of. But in that particular month alone, we raised $12,000, which was phenomenal. So, yeah, I think, you know, we've certainly got really high goals to, you know, we want to keep raising as much awareness and money for Panda as we can, and really just to destigmatise, you know, mental illness because, like you know, we alluded to earlier, it can be, you know, something that people want to keep guarded and not talk about. But I think it's such a common experience. You know, 1 in 5 women experience perinatal anxiety and depression. You know, you're in a room of women of 200 people. Like how many, you know, odds tell you that there's going to be a significant number in that room alone. So, it's a really important thing to be a part of, and we'll be running a campaign similar next month.
Awesome.
Because Perinatal Anxiety and Depression Awareness Week coincides in November. So,
great. And
keep an eye out for the T-shirts.
Yeah, for sure. And what about even just finding if there's anyone listening who might be a mum or might know a mum or be married to a mum, where can they check out all the detail? Obviously, hopefully we've spoken about a bit of it here, but to jump on the website is the best bet to even then register or whatever you need to do.
Yeah, that's right. So mumswhowine.com.au, we've got information about joining as a member. All of our events are on there. As I said, the Self-Care Saves T-shirt, you can purchase online. And it's interesting, sometimes, you know, I sort of wear it as my workout T-shirt ordinarily or my workout top ordinarily. And, you know, the number of times people will be like, oh, you know, point to it and you just don't know who might be affected by that, you know, who might need to see that message. And
totally.
So that's, you know, one of our website, obviously, you can sign up as for a membership. 5% of the proceeds of the membership, which is $59 for the year, goes to Panda, and then you've obviously got discounts at the events and access to all the affiliates. And Facebook and Instagram is where we have a lot of our events. So Mums Who Wine on Facebook and at mumswhowine_au on Instagram.
Awesome. And anyone who might be on the Humans podcast page, I'll put some links on after we do our episode, but
Perfect.
For sure.
Great.
Good fun to check out too. I love checking out your photos and stuff.
We have lots of stuff. Yeah, we do have lots of events.
Yeah.
We have about 10 events a month, which is pretty epic. So Lauren was running that as a one-woman show prior to me coming on board, but obviously with the help of some amazing ambassadors that we have in particular areas who really are just mums themselves who've come along to an event and really the message has really resonated with them and they've wanted to help in what way they can. But it was interesting, Luke, talking about husbands getting on board, because I think that's a real, just women or mums often don't give themselves permission to invest in their self-care. And I think if you see the woman in your life, the most important woman in your life, the mother of your children, you know, really struggling with the day-to-day grind of the monotony, you know, I think the most important thing you could possibly do is to help them, you know, take that time for themselves and because sometimes, not being able to give yourself permission to pause is sometimes we call it. So, you can, you know, great idea. Christmas coming up, not far away. Buy the love of your life, a Mumsy Wine membership.
And I can't begin to explain the admiration and respect that I have for my wife. Like, it's crazy the amount of work that she, you know, how hard she works. You know, I wish I could just jet her off on a world trip. You know, but this is a great thing. Even just for that, I'm sure there's plenty of husbands out there that feel the same. Maybe just to even check it out and suggest something like this.
Definitely. And, you know, we were talking about, you know, Cam being an avid fisherman. And I think after I see him go out and take some time and go fishing by himself, which he often does, by himself, not fishes as often as he probably would like to. But I just know that like sense of, I feel a bit more refreshed. And I think, you know, men, I think to their credit, are good at taking that time for themselves, you know, going to a footy match with friends, catching up, going out. And often women sometimes feel that they're they have to be, you know, the ones that are with the kids and holding. And so, but I think equally for men and women, parents, they just need to be able to recognise that importance of taking that time for yourself.
Definitely.
So,
sure.
Yeah.
That's good. Well, I'm looking forward to seeing how it goes. As you say, it's fairly young, this whole thing. So sky's the limit, and more power to you guys. I think it's fantastic.
Thank you. Yeah, we've got a few big events coming up, and then one of the events we're really excited about before the end of the year is our launch in Ballarat. So Ballarat has been an incredible area. We've had 3 sold out events. Obviously, Ballarat mums love to connect. And
do you think thinking about the regional parts of Australia, I think there's in all sorts of facets of life, all sorts of issues that come up, regional Australia can sometimes get left behind a little bit because there's not necessarily the ease of accessing sort of help or groups or whatever you need as it is in, say, metro parts of the country.
Yeah,
you guys, I'm sure, would be getting plenty of feed or interaction with those people from regional Victoria, New South Wales, wherever it may be.
Yeah, absolutely, Luke. We're constantly getting, DMs on our socials and emails about, I'm in this area and there's nothing on. When are you coming here? We'd love to see you here. And we actually, with Ballarat, we've launching. That'll be the first regional area that we'll launch. But we've headed to Horsham not that long ago.
Right.
We've got a Grampians event coming up, a Wangaratta event.
Perfect.
So, you've hit the nail on the head. Those areas, it's just people there are so in need of connection. And I think sometimes we're a bit spoiled for choice living in the cities.
Definitely.
And it's like, oh gosh, another event, what am I gonna what do I have to say no to but the areas that we've gone to, like Horsham, I think we had mums travelling from 100 kilometres away to come. It just and that whole event arose because a mum from the area contacted us and had said, look, we've had 3 suicides in our community in this year, and we're desperate for something to lift our spirits. So obviously that was an incredibly emotional event that we went to, and it actually led into a sort of another arm of what we're doing with Mums Who Wine called Thank a Farmer. Yeah. So, it's which is an event that we have run. We run back in July, which we brought farming mums and dads to Melbourne and treated them to an incredible experience. They had a night's accommodation. We had a great dinner where we connected, which was hosted by some wonderful organisations that supported us to do that. And Condor Corporate Leisure, which is our family business, actually donated a couple of suites so that they could go to the footy, enjoy a lovely day of food and drink, and just to really, there's nothing that you can really do to, we can't fix the drought or do those sorts of things, but I think just thanking them for the and recognising that incredible sacrifice they make was really powerful. So that's
great.
That sort of led into that.
The lasting effect from like events like you had in Horsham, or doing the Thank a Farmer events and things, I think is as powerful, if not more powerful, than the event itself. So the flow on effect. And if you can do it more, great. But even just for those people at that time, just gives them, that extra bit of fire in the belly that they might need to keep on keeping on.
Yeah, it's so true. I mean, one of the mums who came to our mums event, and we had a great group of women who came together, and we still have a Facebook group where there's stories are shared, and they all are in different parts of Victoria, and they each run different businesses, and someone's helping someone with their business, and then they're going out, and it's been incredible. But one of the mums, Beck, who's a dairy farmer from Inverloch, had said that before she came along to the event, she was willing to sell at the farm, and she just was like, just couldn't see a way out. But once she'd been to the event, all she realised was she just needed a day a week to not farm, just for herself.
Isn't that amazing when you actually hear it like that? Sometimes we're talking about 5 minutes out of your week, like these people there's no break at all.
No, the cows don't stop producing milk for a day. There's no weekend. They're really incredible, incredibly resilient people, and the few that I've met in my involvement with Thank a Farmer just puts the fire in my belly to do it more frequently. So we have another event coming up at Cup Day, which is very exciting.
I think I know. I probably would know the answer already, but the feedback from the group that you brought out and did all that for, I'm assuming was pretty amazing.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the most interesting comment I think I heard was, it's just nice to know that someone's thinking of us. And, I think there's so much going on with people, wanting to know where their food comes from and that, is it organic? Is it grass-fed? And, and I think that animal welfare is a really important issue, but I think, the human welfare is a more important issue or as important issue. So, I think just for them to know that people were thinking and cared enough to put on something like this. I think if two lawyers from the city can, care about us, why can't everyone know? So that was really nice. But no, it was some really lovely feedback from that event. So we're doing it all again at Cup Day. So nominations close tomorrow for our farming couples. We're having couples come along.
It'll be tomorrow. Will be gone by the time this gets uploaded. But for future events, the webs is it again just to jump on the website and
thankafarmerevent.com.au. Awesome. So we'll trying to be running frequent events and liking on Instagram and Facebook. You can keep updated with all that's happening.
Can I ask you something about you personally from doing all this? How have you changed your mindset on the issues that you're sort of covering in these events, and how has it changed you, if it has at all?
That's a really good question. I think I like to think it has. I think I've always been, or I like to think I've been a fairly empathetic person. But I think my empathy has been developed significantly by my involvement with Mums Who Whine. I really think taking an interest in other people, and caring. I think, caring a lot more. I've come from, a corporate background where I think it's all about like get in and do the job and, whereas, and I've always, like I said, always been social, but I think, taking the time to listen to people's stories, which is definitely what you're all about as well, on the Humans podcast. So I think it really helps to, just sort of, it puts everything in perspective.
Totally.
And, having, a pretty big change for, in our lives, like me not going back to work as a lawyer at the moment and still being on maternity leave, and Cam, having a bit of a transition in his cricketing life. So it has been a bit of a roller coaster, but I think that's all been assisted by, the what I've sort of gained from being in this environment.
Do you find that, because this whole thing, and this is my whole point about this podcast, but just like life, right, is the more you talk to people and understand, and not necessarily, learning the ins and outs of how the world operates, but just hearing from someone and talking to someone about whatever gives you an understanding, or more of an understanding that you previously had. I think it broadens your mind. I think it opens you up so much more to caring more and being a better human.
Yeah,
I genuinely think that now, whether it's with Mums Who Whine or the Thank a Farmer event, or I've learned a hell of a lot from one of my great friends, Archie, who's been on the podcast about the queer community, that the more you learn about all those different communities, the more understanding you've got. And I think in turn, it just helps you in your own life.
Yeah. No, I agree. I think, and that's the beauty. I think what I took out of the Bali retreat that I went on was I was a bit nervous going along. I knew Lauren, who was who obviously founded Mums Who Whine, who was going along, but I didn't know anyone else. And I'm pretty extroverted, so I'm usually pretty comfortable in most social situations. But even then, I had a little bit of anxiety about it, I guess. And just hearing different people that I would not have been exposed to necessarily from different walks of life, it really opened my eyes to, we can get so insular and in our own lives, and then you hear about, some other people's experience, some amazing leaps of faith, some real challenges that they've faced, some incredible, career paths that people have taken. I think you're exactly right. It does really broadens your mind, opens you up, and makes you, I think I feel more grateful as a result. I know it's probably peddled around a lot, that word, but I really think it's, I like to think that that has certainly opened my eyes. Yeah,
and I think we live in a world where it's so easy to be influenced by reading something for half a second on your phone or on social media that can literally change your viewpoint on something. But it's not until And like, I'm totally with you. Social media has got some awesome benefits, which is what you've spoken about today. And that's, but there's also that dangerous side of it where it can influence the way you think just by reading something or seeing something without knowing anything about it. Yeah. And I think that's why I guess to my point of chatting to someone and actually getting just that little bit of an understanding can just make you go, wow, yeah. Yeah. Change the way I think about that completely.
Entirely. And, you know, I think we're certainly on the same page that there are some really awful things that happen online. Yep. And so I think to be able to be involved in essentially a community that, comes together in social settings, obviously, but we've got an online community. Yeah. It's fabulous to be involved in a positive online community because there are lots of haters out there. I mean, you know, having a husband who was a professional cricketer for many years and a brother who was a professional footballer, and like I just see some of the things that people put out there, and it breaks my heart. Like, just, you know, people are so mindless sometimes in how they without thinking. And I think you're right. The empathy you can develop, like, that's someone's brother or sister.
Yeah, that's right.
You know, I think when you connect with people in the real world, that's.
I've spoken to Cam a few times about, you know, what do you do because regardless of how good you are, there's going to be someone who says something about you, whether it's in the paper or social media or whatever, or in the crowd, and he plays it down so well. And I know he's a cool customer or whatever, and I guess the professionals, and he's been a professional athlete, professional sports person for so long. Yeah. Do know how to take all that, but I just find that the amount of it these days, because of probably the access, like you can basically talk to someone on Twitter or social that you don't know and tell them whatever you want or call them whatever you want.
Yeah,
I just find it amazing that, you know, and there are lots of cases of athletes or entertainers, anyone in the public on the public stage, I suppose, that do struggle with it. So I always find it interesting chatting to Cam, and he sort of can play it off fairly well and doesn't bother him too much on the outside. Yes. Maybe he takes it differently on the inside.
Yeah, I agree. He's a very cool customer in that regard. I say cool customer, but I think he is, you know, just sort of, you can't let that get you down, and you know, he's very resilient, I think. Yeah. But. Yeah, I can't imagine how difficult it would be to receive those sorts of messages, the things you see. It's just it's just
but what about you? How do you react to that? Because that would be difficult as well.
Yeah, I think, I mean, you know, I've been guilty probably early in the days of, you know, when Cam and I were together, you sort of get online and there'd be some awesome articles written, and then you can't help yourself. You want to look at the comments, and some, you know, nuffies like, oh, this, and, you know, has a say. And look, people are entitled to their opinion.
Absolutely.
Like, you know, I'm not everyone's cup of tea, and, you know, some people might think Cam's selection in a team wasn't fair or whatnot, and they can say that. And that's not anything I would ever have a problem with. I think it's the personal attacks that it was really difficult to see. Yeah. And, you know, having family members who've suffered mental health issues themselves as a result of online bullying, it does make it really difficult. And I just, you know, you just want to grab these people and say, you know, do you realise that what you're saying is really harmful? Yeah. But yeah, I probably get a bit angry about it at times. I just stop reading the comments for good reason. Yeah, especially
the last few years with young kids as well. You're a family now. There's young kids involved, and while they're not directly in the spotlight or getting attacked, if someone says something about Cam, you can't help but think, we're a young family. Like, what do you have to say that stuff? I don't think people realise the impact they have, and I know I suppose it's a known fact that the impact that you can have by saying some of those things on social media or in person or whatever has much more of an effect than they realise. The people that are saying it realise.
Yeah, it blows my mind that you couldn't possibly envisage that. But I guess, you know, perhaps these people who are making the comments that they are just don't have that insight, perhaps. I don't know. It's just, I don't know. But anyway, I think you know, luckily, you know, we're moving in a more positive direction. There's, you know, with some fun, wonderful online bullying campaigns, and you know that now we're sort of moving into an era where it's just absolutely unacceptable, and hopefully, you know, the law can catch up with where it's at, because I think it just needs to stop. Like more positive, you know, sort of reinforcement of positive, you know, and I think it does sometimes come from all of this, you know, this Instagram world of not, you know, that people have sort of put out to look, like how they have this incredible life. And, when you compare yourself to that, you can't help but feel like, oh, but I bet she has help at home. And, I bet, you sort of, it does create that. Whereas I think which is great with our Mums Who Wine page, like Lauren is so real. She posts at like 3 a.m. saying like, my kid won't sleep.
Yeah.
Like I'm a shell of a woman. And, it's real, I think. And with that, I think becomes this, people are able to associate and not feel so isolated, and they, get their back up. So
and that comparative sort of nature. And it's so easy to do. It's like you look at a photo and go, this guy, he swims with whales every weekend. What? Where really he's done it once in his life. And you know what I mean? Like, but my favourite, I suppose, Instagram posts or whatever to see are those, like when you're a photo of a parent with baby shit all over their arm because their newborn's just crapped all over them, or
it's so
looking
relatable,
just
isn't
so
it? You're
tired,
just like,
and you go, I get that. That's awesome.
Yeah, absolutely. So no, that's what we're all about. Like, obviously, we have lots of amazing events where we get dressed up and we head out, and that's it. It's important to sort of get that message across to take that time for yourself, but it's equally important to recognise that life isn't glitz and glam all the time.
You mentioned earlier that, and I think you're spot on, that it's times have changed from when, say, maybe our parents were parents. But do you ever think back at your mum now and think maybe, I don't know, try and sort of get an idea of what life was like 30 years ago being a young parent? Or
yeah,
I know it's hard to sort of try and visualise or anything, but do you know what I mean? Like, things are different.
I think they are, and I mean, my mum is an incredible woman. She played basketball for Australia, then and always worked full time my whole life. Owned a hotel where she worked, sort of 80 hours a week, running that. And he's just coached my basketball team, and we got run to every sport imaginable. So I feel like she was a bit of a trailblazer, and did that without any family around. She's originally from Queensland, and obviously we're in Melbourne. Yeah. So I don't think, and you probably have this same experience until you're a parent yourself. You never accept, like, you don't have any. You can't appreciate how incredible your parents are until you're a parent yourself. Yeah. And I think it does now make me sort of look, and I think that there are different challenges. I think back then, because we often talk about this now, that being a parent, I sort of think, there's so much information out there. Am I doing the right thing? Am I, one thing says feed less, one saying feed more. And I think that the access to information now is what like boggles us as parents. Yep. It's like, am I doing the right thing? It's constantly that constant. Whereas I think, back in the age of before the internet, when our parents were parenting, it was sort of, you got told one thing by those close to you, and that was sort of gospel, and you sort of followed that, or you just had a crack and see if it worked. Yeah, exactly. Which is probably similar to what we do now.
Yeah, but do you think there's too much reading into, almost over information about how to do something or what you should do? You sort of almost influenced too much by all sorts of different avenues, whereas at times you just need to go, let's do it my way and see if it works.
Yes, I 100% subscribe to that. Having said that, finding one piece of information that works for you and sticking to that is also, there's so much out there for parents, and it's such a challenge. And then you go along to Mothers Group, and then you've got a whole range of different parents doing different things, and I agree that the information overload is it's a real, and I think, like, I have spoken to Cam about this before, like the mental load that we carry as parents. You sort of, especially I feel like as a mum, I'm racing around, and you sort of see 10 things, and I've got to pick that up, and hang on, now that go out to the laundry and take that, that hasn't been finished, and we're just constantly racing. So I think that's the beauty of Mums Who Wine. It's like, close that, stop that commentary, take a moment, take a breath, and, sit down and have a coffee in a cafe rather than grabbing the rushing woman syndrome, like grabbing a coffee and running and going here. So, and
that mental overload, that brain overload, I'm sure that it helps burnout quicker.
Yeah, absolutely.
So having the opportunity with Mums Who Wine, organisations like that, to stop and switch off, or, socialise and not have that big load on your mind, that's awesome.
Yeah.
That's so powerful.
It is. It is. And I think that it's your kids see that too. Your kids see you taking that moment for yourself, and I think that that's really important because we sort of, we think we're doing our kids a disservice if we do something selfish by going out for ourselves. But I love that my. Sometimes I get the mum guilt because she's like, oh, you're going to work and, oh, you're doing that and, oh, you've got mums who why. My 4-year-old. I was like, yes, but, I'm going along and I talked to her about, I'm sort of helping mummies take some time for themselves, and we talk about that. And I think, how great for her to see that the importance of looking after yourself, because that's what it's all about.
Because they need to know also, and I know this is so much easier said than done because we're guilty of it, but they need to learn that you guys, the parents, are allowed time for yourselves. They need to learn that and understand that that's what's happening as well, as not trying to cover it up by going, oh, just got to talk to dad for a minute or something. Like it's got to be, and like I said, that I know that's easier said than done, but it's something that it's probably helpful for them to see as well, and it's not all about them to a degree,
Well, and, I think that is, true. Your relationship with your wife and mine with my husband, I think, is the most important thing because you spend so much time, and you can see how it happens as couples separate because they become totally engrossed in their children's life and work, and time just flies by, and then all of a sudden the kids are leaving home and you're like, who are you again? And so, not only, self-care for yourself, but self-care as a couple, which is why, this next Thank a Farmer event I'm so excited about because we get to bring a couple together away from the farm and, hopefully their kids are, able to enjoy some time with family or friends or whatever at home, and just to be able to take some time together, I think is really important. So,
and the self-care saves, obviously, is directed, I suppose, short term or immediately at an individual, but that flow-on effect and that filter through down to your kids and down to your friends and family as well. Like, if you're energized and you've got your batteries full and your fuel tank full, well, it's only benefiting all the people around you, whether it be your kids or family as well.
Yeah.
So definitely. It's not just about the individual as well, which I think is kind of while Mums Who Wine is about that individual, that mum coming in and making sure she's fine, that's then benefiting everyone else.
Yeah, totally. And, as part of my family's self-care regimen, we have a park behind our house that we work out of a morning. I'd like to work out more mornings than I do, but where we bring the kids along and, sometimes it's a bit of a circus, but because there's dogs and kids and all kinds of things. But we work out in the morning, and I love that, we're able to invest in our self-care. The kids see you're out getting exercise, doing something for yourself like you were talking about before. And I think, like you say, that effect on them, they see that, and we know that they model their behaviour on us so much. Yeah. So just seeing... I think that's especially in this age of, you hear kids like stuck in rooms playing video games and on their screens, it's like the constant battle at our house, how much television can I watch? But being able to have an activity outside, there's no negative to that. It's I'm feeling better. Yep. It's a positive, experience for Charlotte and Hazel as well. So,
That's what we're talking off air about the family farm, like taking the kids up there and they just basically run wild to a degree. But even for that alone, we'll spend the day there and we'll all feel fresh. We'll all feel better about life.
Yeah.
It's an amazing thing. And that's why, and I've said it before on this podcast, I'm so big on the outdoors, whether it's camping or fishing or whatever it is. Just there's something powerful about being outdoors. And that's not just a throwaway line. Like I genuinely feel like if I go camping for a night or even at home, we've got the fire pit out the back, and if I sit around that for a few hours, that alone, I feel $1 million. And I know that's just me, like everyone's
that's
different.
How you fill your cup, I think it's right. But I agree. There's something about, I don't know if it's a change of scenery, for some people it might be just going away to a holiday somewhere else. But, sometimes I go away on a holiday and I don't feel any more refreshed because it's just the same stuff in a different location. But I agree. There's something special about the outdoors and, we've got a place that we head down to at Sorrento and it's not quite as outdoorsy, but I think just having a bit more space, like living in a townhouse in inner city Melbourne.
Yeah.
You know, you can feel a bit claustrophobic at times.
Different environment as well.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah. No, it's awesome. Hey, before I let you go, I want to chat to you about your family business that you've got an amazing setup with Condor
Corporate Leisure. So my amazing mum that I was talking about earlier, she has been running this family business for nearly 20 years now, I think. And it's a corporate hospitality. So, you know, businesses who want to entertain clients at the MCG or Spring Racing Carnival, Grand Prix, tennis, that we do sort of packages for those events. Awesome. So, and it doesn't have to be corporate clients. So, you know, if you've had a few sort of birthday parties or just group gatherings, celebrations. So, it's wonderful to be a part of. And my brother sort of retired from AFL football. He's still playing VFL football, but he's been working in the business a bit more.
Winning premierships.
I know.
Your brother, I love your brother. He's such a cool dude.
He's been living his best life lately. Like, I think the VFL Tigers premiership, which he captained, and then obviously with the AFL team, I think that celebrations just kept rolling. He's been over in Thailand at Dylan Grimes's Bucks, and then Vietnam this week for the footy trip. So, awesome. Like I said, living his best life. Yeah,
so you haven't seen him for a while. But that's Melbourne. We live in the greatest sporting city in the world.
We do, yeah. So I think it's really lovely to have that involvement in a family business as well. Totally. That I think we had one game. We've had a couple of games last football season where all five of us. So I've got an older sister as well. We all hosted a corporate suite, and it was pretty amazing. Yeah. So I think that's just another really exciting aspect of life.
To do that and I suppose linking back, the Thank a Farmer events, bringing those things together is such a cool experience for the people coming up from the farms.
Yeah, definitely.
What an amazing experience for them.
Definitely. And I think that, we're so grateful for, Condor Corporate Leisure's support because it is a once in a lifetime opportunity for some of these people coming to Melbourne and, being at the MCG on a big footy game day is pretty cool in itself. Yeah. But, when you're being waited on hand and foot and, it was a really, really special experience to see. So
yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
That's so good. So good. Thank you so much for coming in. This has been so good. I'm really genuinely looking forward to hearing more about all the upcoming events from Mums Who Wine and the Thank a Farmer events, and I hope that more people can get involved. I hope it gets more backing. I know you guys are going great guns, but I just think it's a no-brainer. It's such a great concept.
I feel like we're really on the precipice of something incredible.
Absolutely.
It's just going to launch into the stratosphere. Lauren and I talk about total world domination, but honestly, that's the vision we have. We want it to be that there is, a sort of a community in every area. If you move from Scotland to Australia, you're in you're a Mums Who Wine member there. You come here, you can connect in with your village, your tribe, your community, and it just is. It provides that connectedness, and
it just makes sense, Jacqui. And I think this is what I've probably said it this whole episode. The self-care saves thing it just makes so much sense, and it's so important.
Yep.
And what you guys are doing is perfect.
Yeah,
so
wonderful. Well, thank you for your support. It's great to get the word out there. And
pleasure.
If you are interested, head to the website, grab a membership for a loved one, your mum, yourself if you're a mum.
Yeah.
We all have mums around us, so we love to see as many happy mums at our events. So
cool. I'll jump on
Ricky
the humans
there soon. I think
that'd be awesome. Yeah, that'd be really cool. We should organise that for sure. She deserves it. And if you jump onto the Humans podcast Instagram page and look at the photo of the beautiful Jacqui, I will put some tag the Instagram accounts and that people can check out too.
Wonderful.
So awesome. Thank you so much.
Sounds good.
Awesome.
Thanks, Luke.